Holy, turn me on with your electric feel, Batman! Tiki here, and I have been watching through each and every episode of Batman Beyond for the first time. Dragon, tell them why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way, but that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
Tonight we're talking season 3, episode 2, Untouchable. Yeah, can't touch this Batman. Except for you. You can touch me. Alright. Okay, so Dragon, I'm just gonna get right out here. I don't think this episode's bad by any means, but for me, I feel like it was just very middle of the road. Like, there's not really anything that I'm actively offended by or that I think they do particularly poorly in this episode. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it's all sort of territory that we've gone over before with, there's a very obvious red herring character. There's, Dana and Terry's relationship gets tested a little bit. I don't know, man. I got to be honest with you. I'm getting kind of worried about season 3 just as a whole with these first 2 episodes. I've got a couple general questions to ask about this season, but I'll save them for after you're done with your background. But yeah, like I said, nothing in this episode that really was like, oh my god, this is really poor writing. But there's also, Dragon, I do technically have a great Conroy moment in this episode, but it is one of our weaker ones. It is one of our weaker ones, sir. I don't know, man. This episode just did not make me feel much, which, I guess with the Untouchable thing kind of works with the theme, I guess, a little bit. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just kind of concerned that season 3 is just going to kind of turn into just we're just kind of going around in circles. We're just, the show's still on the air, so we'll just do it just to do it. I don't know. I haven't felt inspired so far this season. Maybe I got spoiled with, the great kind of last 3 or 4 episodes of season 2, and then seeing Return of the Joker right after that. That probably spoiled me a little bit. But I don't know, man. These first couple, they just really aren't doing much for me. Again, nothing bad per se, but nothing great either. Very, very middle of the road episode for me.
Okay.
All right.
So, the director on this, the wonderful Dan Riva.
Reba.
Yeah, good old Dan Riva. Very much the Dan Scanlon of the of the DCAU, I'd like to refer to him as.
If Dan Scanlon and Reba McEntire had not a kid, but some sort of weird fanfic creation that merged the two of them together, it would be that.
Well, that's a weird way of putting it, Tiki, but okay.
You're right. That's a very weird way of putting it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he directed episodes like Touch of Curare and Hooked Up. Hooked Up was a really good one.
Hooked Up was decent. As you remember, I did not like A Touch for Kiara. That was probably one of the first episodes that we came upon where I was like, I'm not feeling this one that much. I kind of feel like Reba's Batman the Animated Series stuff in general was stronger.
Okay.
That's
not fair. I mean, yeah, it was, but
right.
Reba's directed other really good episodes. I just wanted to highlight ones in conjunction with our writer.
Of course.
Hilary J. Bader. And Hilary J. Bader, again, varying success. Again, Touch of Curare on one end of the spectrum, other end of the spectrum, Meltdown. So, it's all relative.
Meltdown was a very good one, yeah. So,
okay, studio worked on this. Tiki, brace yourself. Okay, brace yourself. It's Coco with a little bit of Dong Yang.
Coco. Okay. I don't know what that was.
And the Mini Yangs. Coco and the Mini Yangs.
Oh my god. All right.
Anyway, so let's see. It's not a whole lot of background to this one, but interestingly, Alan Burnett. This one the idea for the villain on this one comes from Alan Burnett. As a kid, like a 10-year-old kid, he came up with the idea for the repeller. And
Oh, okay.
they were digging through concepts, and they were basically laying out all these potential. Again, it's kind of, we have like the villain file. Bruce Timm basically sat down and designed a whole bunch of villains, and
Probably
then
about the closest thing we have to an actual series Bible, right?
yeah, exactly. Way back, that's what I'm
Right,
saying. Way
right,
back when they
yeah.
constructed the Bible, basically like a villain file. Just like, again, they were very much didn't have time to do a series Bible. They were just kind of flying by the seat of their pants on the first season. Then they kind of had something to work off of going forward. So it was a de facto series Bible, one that was written on the fly. So imagine a priest with like a quill pen. Essentially, that's essentially your series Bible here.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, yeah, so that's essentially they had a villain to work off of, and very much. I would speculate. We're going into the season three is interesting in many ways, in which we have some big episodes, but also some episodes that do border a little bit on like we're kind of breaking the rules a little bit from the outset of Batman Beyond. But again, these are rules that are broken, I think, very successfully. If we're going to make exceptions, we're making exceptions where they need to be, and these are things that we have wanted to see, and we haven't gotten there yet. But we're not there yet. But what I'm saying is, surrounding those, we might have episodes that some of them I think show more potential than others. Some may
Dragon,
have some.
I'm just gonna be straight up. I'm very worried about the next episode because just looking up just the premise sounds very similar to this episode, Dragon. Just based on the premise alone, it sounds alarmingly similar to the premise of this episode.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
I don't think it's similar to this episode, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, yeah, and there's a bit of an in real life basis on this one, just in the sense of there are people that do suffer from the condition. We've seen basically Bubble Boys. The Bubble Boy thing is a real thing, so we're kind of tackling that.
Dude,
This
Bubble
episode.
Boy is a fucking head trip of a movie, but yeah, you're right. It is a real thing.
Wait, which Bubble Boy are you talking? There's two Bubble Boy movies.
The Jake Gyllenhaal
Okay,
one.
so that is okay. I just want to make sure we're thinking, because every time someone brings up the Bubble Boy, they're mentioning one of two movies. You and I are thinking of the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I know that.
That's what put Jake Gyllenhaal on the map for me. I mean,
Yes.
not in a good way, but that's what did it, alas.
You know what? Again, that Bubble Boy movie has a nice heart to it. No one ever gives it any credit. It's
You know
like,
what? I'll need to rewatch it to assess that, Dragon. I gotta
look,
tell you.
Gyllenhaal's doing a really nice. Like Gyllenhaal.
All I remember about that movie is just a lot of gross out gags. Just a lot of gross out gags.
True. Maybe honestly, I'm gonna say this. Maybe not as gross as there's one. There's obviously one major gross out gag, but that's more of like we kill someone. So you remember that part, don't you?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But still, it's the idea of just like Jack Gyllenhaal in that movie though. He's rather affable. It's like you're rooting for the kid. He's got a very humble, pure goal.
I remember one of my older friends when that movie came out. Like he was like a couple years older than me, but he went to the same school. He like literally chastised me for seeing Bubble Boy in theaters. Like, Bubble Boy? You went to go see Bubble Boy? God, I'll never forget that.
Yep.
Right.
There's one other thing. I'm sorry, I believe the actual term for the Bubble Boy condition is a primary immunodeficiency.
There we go.
Anyway, but yeah, so there's one other thing I wanted. This is a deeper pool. I have no idea if this was at all. I think this is purely coincidental. I don't know. Maybe this like seeped into Burnett's mind, but I think it would have been. He would have been a little. He would have been beyond 10 at this point when this came out. For Spider-Man's 30th anniversary, they released a series of comics. I love these comics, by the way. Kind of these almost like giant-size annuals in a sense. And they basically, for the 30th anniversary, had these holographic covers of like three colors. You had black, green, and red.
Nice.
Now, for the life of me, I can't remember which one it is. I tried looking it up, but I couldn't remember which one it is. And I didn't have time to really get into the weeds with it to find out more about the character. But there was a villain, or at least the fact it seemed more like a guy who got in over his head than a bad guy. And basically, like the premise was this guy was running around, pretty like wearing like a green, like almost like a green tracksuit. That wasn't this guy; it was just the guy wearing a green tracksuit. By the way, just the guy who had this metal thing stuck on his chest, and basically like a repelling force field. Spider-Man had to help the guy out essentially before he caused any damage.
Uh-huh.
But I do wonder if maybe that was like a seed of an idea there.
I mean, it's almost kind of like almost vaguely similar to the exploding man storyline from Heroes, like vaguely.
A little bit, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anywho, so yeah, that's all I really got. Let's move on. Let's get into it.
Okay, so yeah, we start things off with a quick little introduction to our villain here. Let's see. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon. This guy does he have a name? Is his name Untouchable?
Okay, so that's the other fun fact of the episode, where even the creators of the show they kind of completely forgot the name.
Just forgot to name him.
Well, that's the thing. So he is named technically. When you go over with a find, he is named once in the episode. Bruce Wayne calls him Repeller once.
Oh my God! Wow.
But it comes like the guy does not call himself that. Okay, he doesn't call himself that. It's just randomly, like literally on his model sheet, he's called Repeller. But you get the sense from all the people creatively involved in this, it was purely an aesthetic thing. They did not truly name this character.
I mean, I think it's safe to say this guy is probably like, and I don't even think he's like a terrible villain by any means, but I think he's definitely one of the more forgettable of the Batman Beyond villains.
Well, he's all gimmick. That's the problem. He's all gimmick.
Right, yeah.
Like Shriek, you have a good backstory. The Shriek's all figured out. Okay, we know everything we need to know about Shriek, and he's got a great gimmick.
Whereas this guy, it kind of feels like he's just sort of like this whole tech, everything about this episode, just genuinely kind of feels thrown into the world. All right. Anyway, so he is. It's a typical Batman Beyond entrance where the villain is, he's dodging bullets left and right, taking out guards, and he's going for something of interest.
Yeah, he's going for. He's stealing an isotope from a research facility. Something we've done before in Batman with Clayface.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying, Dragon. This whole setup feels a little familiar.
Well, to be fair, when Clayface stole, we actually knew what the isotope did. Here, it's just an isotope. It's a liquid in a little box.
Fair.
It's a liquid in a vial that's in like a cool little glass. Not even a box, like a little glass.
It is nifty packaging. I'll give you that much. It is nifty packaging.
So listen, we have this gag with like the guard here. If you haven't been in Gotham long, have you, kid? Talking about like
that was fun. That kind of reminds me of the type of humor that Nolan would do, honestly.
Oh yeah. Okay, so basically, this guy has a lot of repulsor technology that deflects, and kind of like basically shoots repulsor blasts. Again, very Iron Man inspired. All right, so nothing's stopping him. He's going through like the electrical field. He's fine. The door tries to close on him. It dents itself and breaks. Then he goes to like the 400 degrees Celsius thing that the isotope is housed in. Reaches in. Batman intervenes. He deflects the batarang and
you're playing with fire, Batman.
Tosses like the chemical at him, and it's like it's almost setting the place ablaze for a moment. So yes, Batman gives chase. Then, ouch! Yet again, this poor McGinnis kid. Batman, he hits the billboard and he goes down. It's like, oh man, that looks like it really hurt. And just to add insult to injury, he hit that thing so hard, the whole billboard. Now, is it a poorly constructed billboard, or did he hit it just that hard?
I don't know, maybe a little of both. I mean, it probably is poorly constructed, but it also looks like he hit it rather hard. So,
He hits the billboard, it goes down. He saves people from it. Very nice, very Batman. I like it.
It is a good Batman save. I will give you that. It is a good Batman save.
All right, anyway, so Repeller gets away. Go back to the cave.
Bruce has slideshows. No, he doesn't actually set that up. I will say, just tiny little detail, but I love just visually we're seeing Terry and Ace growing closer.
It's adorable.
It's really nice.
Now we see it especially later on. He's going over his girl problems. And he's like petting the dog. It's adorable. So let's see. So he learns that the vial had a beta sterilium in it, essentially an isotope. The beta sterilium isotope. Then there's alpha, beta, and gamma. This is the second of three. The beta sterilium, which is very unstable. Bruce Wayne has seen this repulsor technology like this before, so it leads to a little trip to Wayne Powers Medical Research, which, by the way...
Harry, we're going on a field trip.
Yeah. So it's nice to see Bruce Wayne, at least in some sense. My headcanon being, it's nice to see Bruce Wayne honoring his father and Dr. Tompkins with the medical research facility.
Yeah, totally. No, this is it's honestly, I kind of feel like this episode is frustrating for me on a Bruce Wayne point of view because I feel like they set up him to do more than he actually does. I think the one great Conroy moment he does have is kind of like it kind of felt for setup for other stuff for him to do in the episode that doesn't really materialize.
I have a great. I don't know if we have the same great Conroy because I have one that really hit me. But
Okay,
like
okay.
surprisingly, he's like, man, that was real. That was a really good Great Conroy moment.
You might have hit on a subtle one that kind of passed me by because I got to admit mine I was kind of struggling with. So
it's actually kind of a setup for a future episode too, which is kind of cool and subtly. But we'll get there.
all right, well mine's coming up pretty soon, so we'll see if we cross paths on that.
All right, let's see. So they get the tour by Dr. Suzuki. Again, we have the whole in real life.
Totally chill guy who has no nefarious purposes whatsoever. Dragon. He's just excited to show Bruce Wayne his research, and that's it.
I mean, did you see it coming with this guy? Were you?
Yes, Dragon. I absolutely. As soon as these two characters were fucking introduced, Dragon, I am not lying to you. As soon as these two characters were introduced, I was like, "Oh, the nice one's going to turn out to be the villain, and the dick is going to turn out to be the red herring."
Okay, I wanna talk about something. I saved this from the background for this very moment. So I'm gonna break the glass and we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
So reflecting upon the series, Dini and company. Dini made a really good point about this, saying, honestly, in the writing of the DCAU period, but especially in something like by the time they get to Batman Beyond, because this is before you get to Justice League where you have like 2 episodes. Like the 2-parters. Essentially a 40-minute run.
I feel like the 2-parters are where you would want to, break out the red herring plot device because you have more time to actually do a misdirect with it.
So that's the thing. So Dini made a really elegant point once, where it was like, he loves writing a good mystery story, but the problem is, even in Return of the Joker, as much as they love doing the red herring there, and as cool as it was, they had to cut out a lot of it for time. Where a lot of times they always want to do the mystery, but they have to cut it down on the TV budget. On the TV side of things, like budgeting for time. You only have 22 minutes, and they're fully aware of this problem, Tiki, where they can set up a red herring, but again, it's only going to be 2 guys, and it kind of falls into the Scooby-Doo rules at a certain point.
Right.
Where they're cognizant of that, Tiki, but there's only so much they can do. So occasionally, when they're able to hit it really well by putting the elbow grease in, like some episodes we'll get to, it's like there's only so much of a red herring you can do in 22 minutes, unless you're something like Mask of the Phantasm, which even then. Sometimes just how things time out and how many plot lines you have to balance. Where in Jordan Price, that's a good red herring for the little time that we get with it. Phantasm, you get to live in a little bit,
Sure. Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Oddly, Phantasm is shorter than Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. That's what I'm saying. You can't really. It's not an exact.
But I mean, to be fair, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker had a lot more stuff going on in the plot than Phantasm did. Because it was balancing the Joker with the Tim Drake stuff, with Terry, with old Bruce Wayne. There were a lot of moving parts to that movie.
That's the thing. So they've acknowledged, they've tried to really, reinvent the wheel when they can. Like, look at Payback. Payback is like a really good example. Like, then they had the red herrings and they were able to really pay that off, even though, again, they're working up against a runtime. Okay. So, anyway, so getting the tour by Dr. Suzuki here. We get the lowdown, the whole in real life kind of bubble boy situation where, these are people suffering from weak immune systems, so they essentially have to live out their lives in these ISO environments, which is kind of something we've used the term ISO before as like a shorthand for isolation. We've used it in the negative kind of like teen camp prison thing with, with the Last Resort episode, the whole no, not ISO, not the ISO. So we've seen it in like kind of like a punishment sort of thing, and here we're seeing kind of like a sad like tragedy. They have to be isolated. So ISO, like we've set up isolation in for the young people in Batman Beyond. It's a really bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so they're working on better solutions. Like they have the ISO suit, which essentially it's like a hazmat suit, but then they have the new invention, which is essentially the ISO ring device.
Yeah, which is a pretty cool piece of technology, I will say.
I love it. Now, apparently, there's a
Like
glaring,
just kind of like a mini oxygen force field thing.
yeah, like this aura field. Like it's a little aura field. It gives you oxygen. It gives you like essentially it's a more malleable version of like the hazmat suit. But there is one cheat. There's one scientific cheat if you overthink it. Like because it is a big plot point in the episode. The fact that you can hear the sounds. Yeah, in real life, if you had this sort of thing, you would not be able to. It's like the whole space thing. There's no sounds. Like you would only be able to hear yourself. You wouldn't be able to
But you
hear
know
anyone
what?
else.
You got to give her the sounds, though.
You do. So, but
I mean, I
again,
feel like without the sounds, it would just be too isolating.
that's the thing. So I have to assume, like, we're in a world where we have like the whole Shriek has sound technology. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that maybe Bruce Wayne, Wayne Enterprise, they got their hands on the specs from this villain. They've used it for good. It's possible.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my headcanon for how
All
it
right.
works.
Also,
So
Dragon, while we're going over like background stuff, I just want to throw this out there. Is Max going to be just like not present in this season for the most part? I'm kind of getting that vibe.
no, give it time. She'll be
Give it time.
around.
Okay. Because I know that Bruce Timm was not a fan of Max, and I know that she obviously wasn't in Return of the Joker. She hasn't popped up in these last two episodes. I'm missing my Max Dragon. I don't know what to tell you.
Don't worry, you'll get your Kree Summer shot soon enough.
Yeah, I'm missing my Kree fix, man.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's see. We have Kogias in the comments here. He's saying, let's see. The villain plot twist is the same sort of thing as the Man Bat episode, literally the first episode of the animated series,
Yeah.
where Kirk, who seems to be the nice scientist, is actually Man Bat. Indeed. I mean, honestly, that kind of trope goes all the way back to like the Lizard and Kurt Connors. Ironically enough, another Kurt.
Well, no, Kirk.
Oh, you're right. It is Kirk. I always get that mixed up. Yes.
You're not the only one. Joker blogs, they got it wrong too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do Bruce? I'll do Terry on this one, Dragon.
Sure.
Okay. Dr. Blades is the villain, so I threw a batarang into his skull.
Suzuki's the villain?
Does that mean I just injured an innocent person?
Yes.
Shway. All right. Go Gias. I don't want to do too many of those, but that was a good one. Anyways, all right, moving on.
All right. So anyway, so they're getting the grand tour here, and we meet. We see a demonstration of the ISO rings with Irene.
Yes.
So Bruce Wayne wants to
Irene's
examine.
a decent character, Dragon, but I just kind of feel like, honestly, I probably like her the most out of the potential like other love interest for Terry, besides Max, who I am still shipping Max and Terry. I'm sorry. I just think just based on pure logistics, it would be a much better fit if nothing else. But yeah, I don't know. I like her. But the thing is, I like her a little bit more than Melanie. The reason I like her more than Melanie is that I feel like it's the interactions she has with Terry are less scandalous. Because like with Melanie, I kind of feel like both Terry and the writers kind of forgot that Dana existed in that episode a little bit. Whereas this episode, they make a point to like, Dana is on the back of Terry's mind the whole episode. So I will give her that much. Like, personality-wise, she's not doing a ton for me. She's not a bad character. But I don't know. Just kind of a middle-of-the-road plot device, if I'm being honest. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So Bruce, he wants this. He wants to see the specs on the device. Let's see. So meanwhile, again, we establish you can't smell or feel things with the aura field, but it gives you oxygen. Basically, you have an air supply. The only drawback to the device is there is a power limitation. That's the only device. So that's the only. It's the only flaw in the device that comes back later, where it's the only limitation where you have to charge the thing. So Terry, he's again Terry trying a little detective work here. He's asking, so anyone else use it? So she goes on to say, like, well, it's like, what if you go out for dinner or something? Like, oh, go out for dinner? Ha! I've never been outside this building.
Yeah.
So then we meet Dr. Blades, very cranky,
His
very,
first name is Red. His last name is Herring.
yep.
I'm sorry.
What in the red places herring are you?
Oh my god. No, I'm sorry, Dragon. Honestly, in all of the DC animated stuff we've covered, this guy might be the single most obvious red herring.
Anyway, so Dr. Blades, very cranky.
Even the fucking name is a red herring.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So he's he's top priority. Basically his top priority is protocol. He's all about that sort of thing. Like no wiggle or no personability here. Again, there's a little bit, there's a little bit on the other wings parallels if you want to if you want to look at it here. With Dr. Langstrom's father-in-law here, Dr. March.
Uh huh.
But so he says like only R&D gets to see gets to see the specs on this. And then we have this. You do have this really fun. I think is what you're going for here. Is what do you think you own the place?
I do. Yeah, that is my great Conroy moment, honestly.
Yeah, Bruce
Which
Wayne.
it's not much, but I did think that the gravitas that Conroy put into that was pretty fun.
That is my runner-up. I got to be honest. Had I not had found that other moment, that would easily have been like my great Conroy, because that's a clever Bruce Wayne joke, and he does deliver that rather well. It's good.
Ooh, I actually like Kogias's idea here. He's saying if they wanted to make the villain twist be surprising, they could have made Irene the villain. I actually really like that. You probably would have had to rework the motivation of the villain a little bit, but yeah, I think that would have been a good idea. Definitely would have been more unpredictable.
All right, let's see. So, okay, so Bruce Wayne. Now this is interesting. However, I do think there might have been a flaw in the writing here, and I want your take on this. Okay.
All right.
So cleverly, I like this part. Cleverly, Bruce Wayne he kind of needles the Doctor in kind of a clever way here. Again, Bruce Wayne willing to take kind of the swing to the ego here because he knows he's asking something bad, but in order to feel out the Doctor's intentions here, he's saying, "So, what about the power capabilities here? Because if we could fix that, there could be weapons applications for a device like this."
Right.
So he's trying to say, like, hey, mate, see how gun ho this guy is to use this for bad stuff.
And honestly, Dragon, any doubt that I had that this guy was the red herring went away completely at his response to this, where he's like, no, you tell your Wayne board members that we're not dabbling in weaponry. Dragon, come on. This guy, he's got a little bit of a sour attitude, but he is clearly a good guy who is stressed out. It's painted out so fucking clearly.
No, I mean, you're not wrong, but here's the confusing bit for me here. Okay, here's the confusing part.
Okay.
Right? So he says that, like, not for you, not for the defense part, not anyone. He storms off. So Bruce's reaction here is kind of puzzling to me because you'd imagine Bruce Wayne would be relieved. I think the way we're supposed to take it here is because he looks really ticked off by the guy, like that guy. Seriously, I think the way they're trying to play it
it might have been an animation error.
Well, here's
got lost in translation.
That's possible. Here's what I think is taking it for what it is, assuming it's supposed to make sense. My presumption is that Bruce is relieved, but he does notice the guy's really possessive of it. Like he doesn't want anyone touch you. He doesn't want anyone handling this thing. Which even if that's the case, it does feel that kind of makes sense, but it is kind of a conflicting emotion to have, and I don't know how well it's translating. With like giving him a suspicious look. Where it's like he's possessive of it, but we don't really make a point that he's possessive of it. So that's why I'm raising an eyebrow, right? Because it does it. Another way you look at it is like, I think we're reading that he does have malicious intent which is the complete opposite of what he said. It didn't seem to be lying.
Totally. I feel that.
We're at the Gotham Steel and Ore factory here. Gotham Steel and Ore. We have these two, presumably like international terrorists of some kind here. Makiba and Muscles. That's their credited name.
You see, I feel like I know those names better than I know the name of the actual villain guy, Dragon.
Well, to be fair, they don't say their names either. They say, at least they say the Repeller's name once. He's not really like officially called that.
No, but my point is that I saw them, like, I at least saw these names on the fucking credits, all right? And maybe Repeller's on the credits, but it's probably...
No, Repeller's not on the credits. No.
Yeah, so there you go. At least these guys are noted in the credits, man.
Yeah. All right, let's see. At least I'm pretty sure he's not in the credits. I think these make sense. They would
because they must just list out the guy who played Suzuki, right?
Yeah, that's actually. If fun fact, if I'm remembering correctly,
is it a different voice actor?
Well, no, not so much. The voice actor for Dr. Blades, like that's the other red herring bit. They used his voice.
Oh, okay, so it's almost exactly like the red herring bit from Return of the Joker, then.
And also Phantasm, because remember, Phantasm Stacy Peach. It's a kind of a recurring thing in the DCAU.
So, folks, if a voice actor for the villain is also voicing someone else, that someone else is never going to be the villain.
There you go.
Kogias says season 3 is the most forgettable of the 3 seasons, but I don't think it's that bad.
Look, season 3 does have 2 major standouts, which 3's interesting, but let's say 2 major stands, and there's a third one.
All right. I mean, it kind of sucks that we're not going off on a high note, but we got to finish it. So, anyway.
Well, again, I have a contingency for that. Don't worry. We're gonna go out on a high note.
Okay.
A few high notes, in fact.
I believe it.
Anywho, my point. What was I getting at? Oh yeah, right. Also, look at Payback. Payback is Bill Faberbaki, and he is it's the voice of Payback, and he is not the red herring.
True.
I mean, I'm sorry, he voices the red herring who is not Payback.
All right, Little Blues in the comments. He says, as of now, James Gunn has announced the Superman film will be entirely in IMAX. I mean, that's one justification for it being literally the most expensive film production of all time. But I still think, after the summer of 2023, the goal should be smaller budgets, James, not bigger ones. I don't know.
Fair, it's a fancy camera. He's not really putting a lot of, we don't know how much money he's putting in it. It sounds like it's just idle.
No, but I'm saying, like, other reports entirely outside of the IMAX thing, they're saying that Kogias says, I thought the high budget thing was I mean, I certainly hope so, because like if it ends up being one of the most expensive productions ever, like that is just a fucking recipe for disaster, man. It's like, even if the movie grosses a fucking $1 billion, it's not going to make that much money, honestly. So
be so cruel.
What?
Zaslav walks to James Gunn. He says okay, listen, Jimmy. Okay, take this briefcase full of cash. In this briefcase full of cash, this is all the money that we've recouped, and we're repurposing now from your movie, Coyote vs. Acme, the Batgirl movie, and that Scooby-Doo movie. Okay, all of that, in this case, all yours, buddy. I want an expensive Superman movie. You mean you're putting the budget of 3 movies into my Superman movie? I don't need all this money. Too bad. You're getting all this money. Put it on the screen. Man. When you know what? I'm gonna rate even.
I want to see all that money on screen, James. I want people to look up at the screen and just see $100 bills burning, James.
Oh, he's gonna say, "Listen, Jimmy, get your gun." Yeah, I really just no. Listen to me, Jimmy, get your gun. I'm gonna tell you this, okay? You need. Okay, the Donner Superman movie was very expensive in its day. So not only do you need this budget, a big budget, to make us believe a man can fly again, after we had to make people believe that he did not have a mustache, you're going to believe a man can fly again, and just to hedge our bets, you're going to rename that movie Superman so people think it's the same movie. Just to recapture that feeling.
Dude, we are literally the only people on the internet that are actually not happy with the Superman thing.
I mean,
whatever.
I can't say it's an inaccurate title, but I'm not saying, it is a
I'm just saying, if you want to really build up the hype, it's not really a great way to go about it, honestly.
Never in a million years would you see me as calling it Superman. The first thing I'm thinking is, well, Zaslav, we already have a Superman movie. It's called Superman.
And you know what? I feel like this is literally the fourth time that I've made this exact same point, but I'll make it again. People are saying like, well, so the original Superman movie was technically Superman the movie. Yes, and Superman 2 was called Superman 2. It wasn't called Superman the movie 2.
So if James Gunn does a sequel, then he's going to be really in trouble.
What if it's just Superman 2, the gun version?
Oh God!
Honestly, that's low key a little bit in line with the volume 1, volume 2 of it all. Anyways,
Superman, the next crystal. All right. He's got to imagine Superman in the Fortress of Solitude. He's putting in crystals, and that's how he's listening to music.
They could call it Superman Returns again. No, just please no. What about Superman Homecoming? All right.
No, they called Superman Really Returns this time. Seriously.
For real, guys. All right. Okay, where are we?
All right. So anyway, there's like this meeting with Makiba and Muscles. We have a dramatic entrance from the repellers that emerges from smelted metal material and stuff. We established the three isotopes: alpha, beta, gamma. They have alpha, now they have beta. So now he's got to get some gamma. He's going to kill Batman if he gets in the way, which, by the way, this is a funny bit I kind of noticed here. He breaks Muscle's gun. He breaks like the large guy's gun. It's like, you're employed by these people, Repeller. What are you doing breaking his gun? It just seems like, he brought his gun. You're breaking his items. You're breaking his possessions. Why are you doing that?
Right.
Okay, so Tiki, are you hungry?
I'm a little bit peckish, yeah.
Do you like games?
But is this a Hunger Games joke?
No. Just do you like video games, like arcade games, Tiki? Do you like games?
I like arcade games. Yes.
You know where we should go?
Where?
Cheesy Dan's.
Cheesy Dan's. You gotta go to Cheesy Dan's.
Not Cheesy Charlie's, but Cheesy Dan's.
Oh God.
Which, by the way, I love the Cheesy Dan's, but it has to be a nod to Dan Reba.
Oh, it's gotta be. Yeah.
Adorable. Okay, so Terry, he's glowing about Irene to none other, not Max, because that would have saved him some trouble. No. Terry is glowing to Irene to Dana.
Yeah, why, Terry? What are you doing? This is honestly one of the problems I have with this episode. It's just like, I feel like we've been down this road before, and look, Terry McGinnis is a charming young man. I'm sure he attracts the attention of a lot of women his age. But the thing is, I feel like we've kind of we've trudged this plot point before. I kind of feel like we know what this plot point is at this point. It's getting a little bit repetitive, Dragon. That's my whole issue.
Yeah, to be fair, like Terry is trying to tell her about his day, but he's just picked the wrong day to tell her about,
Right.
Like, so I met this Irene.
You know what? I'm on Dana's side when it comes to this. I'm actually kind of proud of Dana for being so short with it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like poor Dana. She's making some fun points. Like, well, I hope you two are very happy together. Like, come on, Dana. She's in a bubble for crying out. It's just typical men. You always want what you can't have.
Yeah, I'm kind of on Dana's side with this.
Honestly, I'm with her until this point. So Terry apologizes, and he gets a call from Irene. It's like, he has no control over that. He's getting a phone call from the bubble girl. Come on.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That was a little bit hasty.
Yeah, so Dana.
Terrible timing, though. You got to admit, it was terrible fucking timing.
Oh, absolutely. Anyway, so she makes an exit. So anyway, so Irene, she's not calling just to put a kink in the relationship. No, Irene is calling because she snuck out using the ISO rings per Terry, her whole conversation with Terry. But now she's lost in the city, so it's up to Terry. Terry finds her, and they head to the beach.
Yeah.
Little beach day. It's funny. We have mentioned beach day before. Like Terry's missed beach day with his family, but hey, he's got a beach day of his own going on.
True.
Yeah, look at that beach, Terry. He's not getting his feet wet, but he's enjoying it. But yeah, so the whole she can hear the sound of the ocean. She can go in the water without getting wet. Uh, you know, Terry again. We set that plot point about the hearing thing.
Uh-huh.
So Terry's about now. Here's the thing. Importantly, is the difference between the Melanie thing. Terry is about to tell her about Dana. Okay, he's
Yeah,
about
he
to let her
wants to.
down.
He's like, it's literally on the tip of his tongue. He just keeps getting interrupted.
Yes, so then he learns she only has 20 minutes left before all the power goes out, which means she's going to be in deep trouble. So they run, they get her back there. Unfortunately, they are caught.
Uh-huh.
But Dr. Blades. So he's very fire and brimstone here. He's violated the privilege of my trust, and Terry gets banned forever.
Banned for life.
She's sent to the ISO cell. It's all very sad. Meanwhile, we go back to the cave for a little slideshow action.
This is a legitimate slideshow, yes.
Yes, so Terry, I love this. He's talking to Bruce about his dilemma there while he's petting the dog.
Uh,
Now, this is where we get to the Great Conroy moment here. We're getting there. It's about to happen. So, Terry goes on about the whole Irene and Dana situation, and, Bruce is like, you like the attention. That's not the line. We're getting there. This is like, yeah, well, no, I mean, you wouldn't understand. Actually, I do. When I was younger, women used to throw themselves at my feet, and this is like, what did you do? Well, I stepped over them. That's a good line, but they're not the Great Conroy. We're about to get there.
Okay.
I stepped over him, and Terry says, "Smooth." And then here's the Great Conroy moment that really caught me off guard, like how really good it was. The way Conroy says, "I thought so," but you can hear the regret in his voice, or like the contemplative regret, the way he says, "I thought so," because again, Bruce Wayne, he's
Yeah, no, I see what
now.
you're picking down there. That is a very subtle little performance of regret right there. That I'll sign off on that as a great Conroy for the episode.
And let's say one of our really good episodes coming up, not immediately, but coming up, might pick up from this line.
Okay.
Might do a little something with this line. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Okay. So we established the last component needed for a powerful explosive would be, basically a gamma isotope that is stored at Bloodhaven, at the Bloodhaven nuclear facility. Which, by the way, this is actually a really big deal. I believe the first time we've mentioned Bloodhaven in the DCAU, if I'm not mistaken. Which we've danced around it. Like Nightwing, when he left Gotham City, he went to Bloodhaven to establish himself. In Return of the Joker, we say.
Yeah.
In Return of the Joker, we say Nightwing left to establish himself in another city. Didn't give the city's name, but that's where he went.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so poor Irene, she's punished. She's alone. Dr. Blades, is kind of like the dowdy father figure here, saying you can have time to reflect on your actions. He leaves, but here again with the whole red herring thing. Again, you gotta give him credit though. Even if they're stuck with this guy as the red herring, we have the voice thing. And we have this bit here where he's called away on business, or I'm going out. I'll be back later. So yeah, he's going out maybe to steal some isotopes. One might have you believe.
Right.
He's leaving, and she anyway. So Irene has a plan. She sneaks away in the suit, in the hazmat suit, the prototype. She calls the McGinnis residence. Gets Terry's brother.
And I'm a fan of Matt McGinnis, Dragon. Yeah. I think he's kind of like the proto kid brother in cartoons in this era.
What's our proto kid brother doing?
Is he watching a movie or playing a video game? I forget.
He's watching a movie with his buddy. He's watching like a kaiju movie with his buddy.
Right. And he is entirely uninterested in this phone call, Dragon. Just entirely. He could not be less enthused about this phone call.
His friend's asking, like, who was this? I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, so then we have Batman versus the Repeller. This is like you can put away the spitballs. Oh, these are extra special ones, and he throws this awesome batarang
I will
that
say
is
the Repeller does have some fun, like Spider-Man style quips. I will give him that much.
he does. I gotta give him that. So I love this. I love the titanium wrapping batarang. It's so cool. He throws a batarang and wraps the guy up in titanium, which ordinarily would be pretty sturdy. Be a pretty
Uh-huh.
good move. But again, he can use like the force of repulsion essentially to blast the thing away. So Terry's in trouble.
Yeah.
Ends up getting repelled over a cliff. A lot of tension there, and then thankfully he has a rebreather, so he does not drown. Repeller gets away. Meanwhile, Irene she finds the ISO ring, but she hides as the Repeller is in the room, and we reveal the Repeller to be not Dr. Blades, but
Dragon, I'm so enthused by it. Just tell him. I'm sorry.
oh, Dr.
Dr.
Suzuki.
Suzuki, what a twist!
Yeah.
We totally didn't see it coming at all.
All right. So, anyway, so this kind of bothers me. So, Doctor Blades he enters. He's seemingly more concerned with Irene than he is the man in the suit up to no good.
Uh-huh.
Think about it, because he says like
No,
Irene,
I agree. I
what's
agree. I do see. I do think that did cross my mind a little bit. It's like he's a little too fixated on this situation.
now? To be fair, I mean, I think the intent is like saying Irene, what crisis is happening right now? But the way it reads is like Irene, and who's the? I don't care about this guy. Irene, what are you doing? I told you you're supposed to be grounded.
Exactly.
Like, hey, Blades, wrong focus right now. Wrong problem. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so we're in the Batmobile. We got a little banter here. Good, fun banter. It's just like anything broken. If I say yes, can I go home?
That was fun. You know what, Dragon? You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give Terry a great Conroy moment for that line. No, honest to God, I do think that was a really fun Terry line.
Terry always gets the fun lines.
He does. He does.
All right, so Bruce Wayne has uncovered a request for power boosting servos, which presumably were signed by Dr. Suzuki. So they found the guy. They found out who the culprit is. Um, Suzuki, he's boosted he's basically doing his big villain monologue here. He's boosted the power. Now there's no limits anymore, and he's did all this for the profitability of the device. Attacks Dr. Blades, knowing he'd catch on to him eventually. And now, I like this though. I like that Suzuki doesn't want to hurt Irene, but she is a witness. I'm sorry you had to be drawn into this. And he's about to, really great tension here. Cracks her helmet, which again with the whole the Bubble Boy setup here of like, oh no, if we pop this bubble, Jake Gyllenhaal's a goner. We don't want that.
Right.
So there is some legit tension here.
Uh,
All right. So, Batman saves her last minute. He's battling Suzuki. A little bit of 0 point energy vibes from The Incredibles here. A little bit.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah.
He's
A little
tossing
bit.
Batman around over his head. He's kind of has him like a field. So it's a little 0 point energy esque.
Uh huh.
Batman gets tossed into the R&D facility. There's basically this room with a whole bunch of turbines. More phantasm comparisons with big old turbines.
Sure.
Uh, Yeah, Batman and this lady is wearing these like soundproof headphones here. Very Lobot looking if you look at them. They look so much like Lobot's little headpiece from Empire.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
We have this great gag where she's like, "Hey, work day's over," and she runs away. Just Batman terrifying the poor workforce here.
Oh God.
So then Bruce is like, say, like, no, Terry, we're supposed to strike fear into the hearts of the superstitious and cowardly, not the minimum wage crowd.
I know, right?
All right, let's see. So we have an action sequence with a turbine. Again, a little similar to Phantasm here. Batman uses sound to disorient Suzuki. Puts on the headphones and lets the sound take the guy out as he basically turns it up all the way. And yeah, but this is kind of an interesting idea. He has to cover his ears, but he can't block the sound unless he turns off the device. Because again, the way sound works on this, you can hear, but you can't like block your ears or anything. You can't control what you're hearing.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was kind of clever in the writing. I don't know. Anyway, so he begs for it to stop, and he passes out. Batman saves him from getting chopped up by the turbines. And then we learn in the aftermath. This ending is kind of hilarious if you depending on how you look at it. So we learn in the aftermath that Dr. Blades has lightened up and has given her privileges back. Terry is unbanned, so things have worked out there. And she's like, "Hey, you want to go on a roller coaster by the beach?" Terry's about to let her down, but she says, "You want to go on a roller coaster with us by the beach?" Well, Irene, you say, "Wait, us?" And then we meet the hilarious part of all this. We meet Larry.
Dragon, the fact that his name is Larry, I think, is the most funny thing about this whole thing.
Oh, it's not just that. Take think about it. Okay, his name's Larry. He's got black hair.
Okay.
And he's wearing pretty much the same jacket Terry is.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, you know what? When you spell it out like that, yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing.
So again, Larry very much. He's essentially the if I ever I'm trying to remember if Larry was Asian or not, because I think he was. I'm not sure. But I don't know. The idea there's potentially like an Asian Terry McGinnis, so again Larry in this case, and it's like if only we could have gotten Stephen Yen to play him.
Oh my god! Right?
God,
it's literally like the Gary and Larry thing from SpongeBob.
Exactly.
No, that honestly flew right over my head when I watched the episode, Dragon. So thank you for pointing that out.
All right. Anyway, so apparently, suffice it to say, Irene has a type. Which explains the chemistry.
A little bit, yeah. She's kind of partial.
Anyway, so basically the big difference being, he also has the same bubble boy condition that she does. So these two are kind of made for each other. Terry respects that. This is like, well, he's been a friend for a long time, actually more than a friend. I meant to tell you. He says, yeah, it's fine. So it kind of evens all out, I guess, by the end of it.
And Dragon, honestly, like Code Geass, I can kind of see why you I'm sorry, you really like Melanie. I can see that. Like, you do make a good point about her being basically this show's equivalent to Catwoman. But I really like this dynamic just because, again, they don't go into infidelity at all when it comes to like Terry crossing any sort of line with Dana in this episode. Whereas I feel like with Melanie, lines were very much crossed in that situation, and
I mean, look, I like Melanie Walker, but I agree with Tiki that the way in that the infidelity aspect of that was the deal breaker. I don't have any problems with Melanie. I just have a problem with like how it makes Terry look bad.
Exactly right. So
that's what I have.
I kind of feel like, if anything, this made Terry look really good.
Yeah, I mean, Dana was on his mind. He was breaking off from the get-go. There was no kiss, but then again, a kiss would be impossible, so I don't know how
what if they did that stupid, like elemental thing where they're not physically able to kiss?
Well, I mean, it's a little different. Like, there's literally no impact. It'd basically be like kissing like a magnetic field. So you're not feeling any of this. He's like, no, I'm sorry, no.
Oh, God.
Well, this was a wasted exercise. Anyway, so he's in the car with Bruce Wayne. Again, Bruce is taking an interest here. Like, so how'd she take it? Better than I thought.
And that's the episode.
Yeah.
All right, so talking through it, Dragon, I still think it's relatively forgettable. But honestly, with you, some of the Bruce Wayne stuff is really good. Some of the stuff with Terry just being a gentleman is decent. So, it's definitely not the strongest. It doesn't even come close to living up to some of the high points of the end of season 2. But I don't know. It's just more or less kind of forgettable. Like, I genuinely don't know how much of this episode I'm going to remember by the time we get to the end of season 3. We'll see.
Yep. Yeah, again, not my go-to, but always a kind of a cool gimmick with the repeller. I'll give you that. It was always always pretty cool there. And again, on the rewatch, I was kind of blown away by a few subtle things I never really picked up on before. So, it was enjoyable.
Sure.
Not deep, but enjoyable.
Fair enough.
I mean, Dan Reeves always been a character guy, so he's very much like, just take a cool villain and kind of do something with them, and, that's how it went.
True.
All right.
Okay, so big thanks to Kogias and Little Blue for joining us in the comments, although Little Blue was kind of more of a cameo, but that's okay. And take us out, Dragon. What do we have next week?
An inkwell running dry. Bruce Wayne gone again. The chemical bond between mother and daughter. Can Batman take down Ink all by himself this time? Or will Ink get her revenge? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to Batcave Beyond with Inkwelling. I know he's red herring. You can't fool me.